Now, with all these builds, and I have to make this intro, with all these builds that are in here, there will be controversy from what players will say, what other players will show you. Again, these are my takes on these builds, but at the same time, there is a science and numbers to back all this stuff up. One of them, for a good example, is the Eclipse build. Everybody wants to run a chess piece. It's not the best to run the Eclipse chess piece because everybody wants to do nothing but the burns because it's just about that. It's not. It's about also getting the DPS out. So the damage per second with the shotgun is beneficial with the glass cannon. Now, not always is glass cannon going to be your best to go to for each build either. There are some builds in here where glass cannon does not help it. There are some other things in here where maybe you may not want to use vigilance. Maybe you'd prefer to use a different talent like, let's say, unstoppable force, as you prefer. That's fine. Maybe you want to use companion. Okay, go ahead. Make those builds and all these builds with the talents how you prefer. But if you want the highest damage output, the highest survivability for your build, the best team synergy that you can get for each of your builds, this is going to be the way to put them together. Now, there's also some like the Negotiators where people would prefer to do single target damage versus multiple target damage. Again, if you have a good team or you're playing with other players, they're going to help you take those down. So sometimes, like Negotiators, you're going to need to do multiple damage, not singular damage. So we're going to get into all these builds, stuff like that. And again, take everything that I can give you, but make it the way you want, okay? If you don't like this talent, there's other talents out there you can use. But if you make the build around the same type of way, you're going to get the most bang for your buck. Now, there's two good DPS builds in this game, but both of them basically use the sniper or sharpshooter specialist because of the extra headshot damage, as well as it's going to allow you for faster acquisition of your targets. So, is this the best piece on here? No, you can use whatever you want, but the best weapon you can get is an M1A. Now, as for the talent, you can go with Ranger or you can go with Boomerang. Either one of those is good. As a good backup, you can use the Kingbreaker, but on a glass cannon one like this, you're also just as good as putting the Pestilence on. The reason why is because you're using the Petrov gloves, so you might as well get the most bang out of your buck for this. Then not only that, but you're using the Fox's Prayer. So these two weapons right here just basically synergize on the DPS build to help it out the most. Now, another version is like this with the Focus. If you use that, again, still your M1A, Boomerang, or Rifleman is good. Now, again, like we said before in the intro, you can put on Companion, which if you were to use like a drone would keep damage going longer if you were to lose Vigilance. So you can put on like a spotter drone right here, let that little sucker fly around nearby you and get Companion out. So there's other ways to get more damage out. Again, it's player's choice. You don't have to use Glass Cannon. You can use Focus. If you don't want to use Companion and you want to get the most damage out of your build, just go with something like Vigilance. Again, like we talked about in the intro, there's other talents out here as you prefer than Vigilance that would give you damage and give you more consistent damage. For instance, like Unbreakable Force, Composure right here, being in cover and shooting out of that. It's an underrated talent. Concussion, if you're great at landing headshots. Again, Unstoppable Force would give you 25 just like that, and all you gotta do is get kills, and it lasts for 15 seconds. So as long as you're killing stuff. Because of the ongoing directive, you can even put Wicked on, which would give you longer duration and give you more chance of getting more damage out for a consistent basis rather than Vigilance. But we want to show the max numbers, so we got to put on Vigilance. Now, again, we'll use the very first one, which is focus, and as you can see, we're sitting at, what, 50-something and 170 for crit damage. Now, again, if you're going to use focus, the best one to go for is this, the 45 times head scope. On all your weapons, as much as possible, as much headshot damage as you can get out, especially with a focus build. Now, again, you can trade some crit chance off and put stability on if you wanted to, because you're going to have all this extra damage. So it's really player's choice on those types of things, as long as you can max out your crit damage. So we'll set this for 15 because we want to show getting the max crit chance and the max crit damage. And you see we're about hold on a second, I don't think I got any yellow numbers on that one. There we go, 4.9. Now again, this is before we get probably a boomerang shot to come back. That's just 4.9. Yeah, I believe it can go up to like 6.1. See, there's a 5.77. That's with the boomerang actually critting back. The max you'll ever see with the boomerang is somewhere close to around, was it 5.9, 5.7 or something like that. But when we get the one pistol shot right there from the orbit, we can actually get this to hits for 6.1. There you go, 6.12. And it's back to 5.1. See, it just keeps fluctuating like that. Now, again, we can also show you the glass cannon one too. Now, the glass cannon vigilance, it's just as good, but you won't ever see those big numbers like that. You'll see close to it, but also because you're taking in so much damage, it's not always best to have a glass cannon. It depends on if you're using a raid or you just really want to kill a player, maybe something like that in the dark zone. Yeah, sometimes glass cannon is better because instead of having to stack focus, you can just instant damage. And you see we're hitting for 4.9, now we're hitting for 4.5, and that's on a basis. Now it can jump up with the boomerang when it actually wants to do that. So again, it's still lower than focus. But again, choose the talents that you prefer as you like in your playstyle. Just because someone says it's the strongest or the best does not mean it's best for you. So I hope that is what's being shown here the most. See, there's a 5.8 with the pistol. So again, we saw 6.1 with focus versus 5.8 with glass cannon. Skill builds. Now, there's two good skill builds, and I have a video on this to show you why you do not want the perfect glass cannon. But all these other pieces on here do not help except for the technician for your skill build. Now, the capacitor is good for heroic type missions and stuff like this. For one reason is because you're allowed to be able to come out of cover and shoot. They're not as aggroed as legendary. So on the legendary, you want a harmony. Now, the reason for the harmony and not the test subject is so that a way you have extra ammo that you won't use, because one's an AR, one's a rifle, so that way you never have to waste ammo. Also, if someone has ammo hoarders on, you have something decent so you can go to a different type of weapon should you run out. As well as having a card 45 so you can have just regular in-sync is just as good. Now, there is a deal going on with the busy little bee where you get extra damage to your skills by tagging other targets. But I'm not going to go over that, but you can put that on and take off the capacitor. Now, on here we have one red core because we have all these extra yellows plus the technicians, so you can put a red or a blue core anywhere you want. Now, again, the regular glass cannon will give you survivability where you will not die from a sniper dog shot. It'll still leave you with some health. So it's still a better deal. Even with some of the grenades, if you're able to avoid it, you may survive as well. Now, tech support, great for legendaries unless you're going in a big group or something. Sometimes combined arms is still better. So we'll show you the max damage out of this. But at the same time, tech support is still an underrated one at times, just because like the new legendary Untitled Basin, your skills, you're going to toss them out there and let those things get the kill, and you can't shoot and get combined arms. So sometimes tech support is your better option. And again, we have 3-piece Empress, 1-piece Hannah U, 1 Wyvern. Now, controversy, people say that Waveform is not the better piece. It is if you're using 2 damage skills, because no matter what happens, you're trading the damage to one skill or another, so they will always have more damage than using a second piece of Hannah U. Now, if I were to have it like this with Artificer Hive, I lose out on damage because one of those is not a damage skill. So having 2 damage skills on your build is better than doing that, because that way you don't lose any extra damage that you would gain from the waveform. So let's just show you some damage numbers out of this. Let's get our capacitor fully stacked out. And as it transfers over, 303 975. Now again, this is with a level, what, 11 turret and a level 11 drone. And come on, come on. Alright, there it goes. Alright, come back and shoot. Thank you, sir. 189 984. So again, that's with level 11 drone and turret. This can still go higher when it gets to 20. Now we come to our mortar build. Now, of course, we have to use the grenadier. Later on, we might be able to change that to tech support or the technician, but we don't know yet. But still, the 2 best ones you're going to have is going to be your Harmony, and you want DTA on here, which is another reason why I have it that way, so that way we can get the extra damage to our mortar. I forgot to mention that in my skill build, because the DTA and the damage targets that I covered did not work for those skills, but it does for this one. So having the Harmony with damage to armor for your mortar is important. Okay? Now, the mortar is based on your damage to armor, so that's another reason why we have the Petrov gloves. The sticky bomb right there, basically, yeah, that's going to be beneficial. Now, the hard part you're going to have to find is these Gruppo pieces, these 2 Gruppo pieces. Now, you want to find the ones you can roll the skill tier off. So if you can make this build any way you want, that's fine, but you want the China Light backpack. The reason for the perfect shock and awe is the better piece to go to is because as soon as you hit them with that mortar, you get status and that gives you damage. Versus tech support like this, if you don't get a kill like you're facing against a tank or even combined arms where you have to shoot, you're only going to get that for 3 seconds. It's not going to allow the mortar to go out there and hit fast enough at times. You can use combined arms, but it's not your better choice. So shock and awe is your best one. Now the holster right here, because we can't get any extra skill damage out of this, honestly, this waveform holster is your better spot to get the extra damage for either one of these, because there's no other talent that's going to give us extra skill damage or anything of that nature to help this build out. So putting this into that spot is going to be your better option for both of these. Again, the turret, as you see, maxed out. So let's show you some damage. Alright, we'll shoot once. Hit for about 6.4 mil on a mortar before anything else is procced. So that's pretty good. Let's see if we can get maxed out. That was at 10.4. Yep. It's 10.2, sorry, my bad. Somewhere around there. I'll post the numbers up. Wow, it just kills it so fast that even that one target's just right there. So let's get this maxed out again. Okay, it's fully transferred over. 13 something on a red. So not bad. Now, again, this is a very controversial build, but the Eclipse build, you're better off with either one of these two specialists, but the chest piece is not the better because, again, we also want to do weapon damage. It's not just about your skills in this game. Anybody who thinks that just using skills on an Eclipse is always wrong for one thing, and I'm going to show it later on in this clip. Please watch this one all the way to the end. Now, the Wyvern is the better option than the Golem. Now, if you can find the glass cannon like this, great. It's going to help your build out in two ways. This Scorpio shotgun allows for extra status effects, so because of that, we want to be able to do damage. The double barrel like this allows for your better accuracy, your farthest damage. It's going to be able to hit those headshots a little bit easier, giving the perpetuation and the damage to armor. Now on the bottom piece, you see I have accuracy. That helps get those headshots a little bit better. With this, we're going to use a Vile Mask, but this is where everybody messes up. They think that just because the backpack only gives the 30% for the skills, it doesn't. It also still, from a long time ago, it still gives your weapon 30% damage because it's 30% damage to the target once you status effect them. So how I can prove this is by taking this off and just doing the status effect, which would give my skills the damage from that backpack, which would be from the China Light backpack. So if I shoot this right here, my status effects will get damage. And you see we're hitting for 186 right there on the weapon. Now if I put this backpack on, that increases 30% damage to the target. See, we see at the 186, look, it jumped to 290. See how it jumps up for the 290? That means we get weapon damage as well. It's not just about your status effects. So that's why this build will always beat the ones that you see using the Eclipse chest pieces, because you also get weapon damage. So using the glass cannon effect allows us to do more damage for our statuses, our skills, and our weapons at the same time. So we're getting 55% weapon damage just by status affecting them with the shotgun. Now, your two best pieces are going to be the Burn Sticky and the Fire Launcher Chem Launcher. Now, the other good thing is you can also put on the firewall right here, put this shotgun on, and you can actually status affect dogs. Okay, so you can put the fire starter on here and affect the dogs. Now I use the crossbow because in team play I want to give them the status effect damage. If someone is using a healer, you would take the crossbow off and put on the firewall so you can give the extra damage out from the fire shotgun, the little one that you hit them with, to avoid them from not taking status. So here's the status damages. 560 right there. Now the extra piece underneath that, that's the Vile Mask proc. So we hit him for 560 just right off the rip, just like that. Very simple, very easy. It's the highest status you'll see in the game for the Fire Sticky. Now we're going to jump this up to name, elite, and elite down there, so that way we can see the transfer effect to all those. And you see we got 15 and 15, and then back there is 15. So let's see the transfer effect. 560. Now again, this is a named delete. So when you hit a named delete, you don't want to detonate it right off the rip. You just want to keep it out there on him as long as it can for burn. And you can see a named delete, it will not transfer. So you hit it a second time. There's a transfer effect. 560 still all the way across. And you see the tick from the Vile Mask should bring them down to almost no armor whatsoever. So let's bring this down to a regular elite. And then what we'll do is we'll kill all these other ones off first before we get the transfer, and then we'll reset everything. Alright, those should die off. Okay, that's reset. Okay, that makes it easier to reset. So let's reset these and let's see what the transfer is, if it'll transfer off of regular after the damn thing clears. Come on, reset. Thank you. Reset the range. 15, 15. Reset. 10, 15. Reset all those. Okay, so these all have fresh armor, so you can show a proper, accurate transfer. You still see, still 560. So this is going to kill this ad easily, no problem. And it still transfers. There's no weak little reds out there. There's no weak purples. It's all yellows. Like we're fighting, right? Basically like you're fighting Countdown. And there you go. Now we can show this shotgun right here. You see I was able to hit the target, but not the head because it's farther away. But you see how we were able to hit it that third time? 720 with perpetuation. And look, it's able to transfer a third time. Or not third time, but we hit the first one, transferred over, and then transferred back. Now this is my legendary booster build. This build helps out your teammates get through legendary a lot faster. Having one of these builds in there is good. Now we're mainly using the technician because of the Artificer hive, okay? If the devs were to let us change this stuff later on, we would definitely go to the crossbow. That's it, that allows for status effect, and that would boost this build for your teammates by letting the Artificer hive move around to an extra 10% more damage. That's basically it. But you see we're at 71% skill buff amount. So this can actually go to 72. The chem launcher is to help heal them. But as you see my turret, so this is what I want to show y'all. I was wrong in one of my older videos, but what I found out is this. When we change all this stuff over, okay, we got skill damage, skill haste. Okay, we got everything. If I go down here, this is where they get the extra 55% skill damages for the overclock. I thought this was gone. I was wrong. So this is in this video. It's 55% for overclock. So we get 55% more when you give them this for deconstructing your hive for 15 seconds. Now, I'm going to show and demonstrate how we give them all this extra damage, because none of this other stuff helps except for if we were to have a crossbow. It's just about 10% if we were to change that and put the Artificer hive elsewhere. The Scorpio shotgun right now is going to give them 20% damage. Now that really is only going to apply for the Chongas. This build helps their build so much that just one shot from the shotgun on anything just helps kill it. The Chongas being extra tanky, this right here helps just destroy them when you get them full stack. Now the future healer part, and you see we're going to give them the extra 25% by putting on this chest piece. So that's 45% damage to Chongas. And then we also give them the extra 15 right here. So that's 60%. 60% total damage to the Chongas. Now, if I take that number and I add in the 71% I'm boosting to their skills from the hive, yeah, we're talking 130% extra damage. And then we can also give them 55 when we overclock for 15 seconds. Hopefully that math will make sense. So we got 131 right now plus an extra 55. So we're giving them 186% damage for 15 seconds. So I've taken off all my armor, or not all of it, but most of it, so that way I can show you each one of these as we go up. So the turret ships are 75,000, and we're going to slowly bring this thing up so I can show you each piece that helps it out. So we shot, we gave it the 15, we made it up, we got an extra 25. As we shoot, you see we still get it that extra damage. So now we're going to put the Artificer Hive on, which is going to give us a 71% boost. You see, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this to a named one. I'm going to let that turret shoot out there. Try to stack this thing all the way up. And I think I missed one shot. Yeah, okay, let me stack this all the way up. Turret, you stay over there shooting, please. Stop shooting. Aim over there. Aim over there. Thank you, turret. Alright, let's stack this thing, all 8 rounds. $168. Now, I'm going to put the Artificer Hive out. Make sure it aims away, and then I'm going to overclock, and I'm going to let it come back and shoot. Shoot, turret. 204. So we went from 75 to 204. That's 186% damage right there. So imagine that on the other skill builds or any other skill builds that you can help out. So here we have a sniper turret build. Now, as you notice, I don't have any exotic holster or nothing on this. I don't have extra damages on this character, so this can go up by 5%. Okay. Also, I don't think this technician is maxed out, so that's another 10% that it's missing. So these numbers you're going to see here are not accurate, but on another build where I had it originally to test it out, this is the highest damage you're going to get. Now, the Artificer Hive is going to boost it up some more. You don't have to use this if someone else is using an Artificer Hive, but that's on you. Now, as you can see, we're also not using glass cannon because you have to come out of cover, aim, and shoot to get the most damage. So kinetic momentum is honestly your better go-to for this build. Doesn't mean you can't use glass cannon. If you prefer, by all means, go ahead, because again, we're using one-piece Providence. That would give you that extra 30% weapon damage and skill damage. But again, you're going to take in that 60. So it's not the best for this, but you can use it. Now, we have this Providence on here because we want the headshot damage. Now, some people say Araldi's works. Honestly, I've seen better damage from the Providence than the Araldi's. I've tested it a few different times. I don't know why. Maybe it's bugging for me. Now, the Hannah U on here, we want that just because we're trying to get the extra skill haste and skill damage out of this as possible so we can get the skills back, because you're not going to get any extra damage out of this in any other way. Now, the Surge, we got to talk about weapons. The Surge actually does better than the White Death. Sometimes, and I don't know why, I'm able to get the White Death to actually proc the headshot damage on here. There's other times when I'm doing it, it doesn't proc. So, Surge is your best weapon to go to. The White Death is also just a great backup because you have all this extra headshot damage on there, so you might as well use that extra headshot damage on the weapon. So, let's make sure on this character we have everything set. And you know what? It's still on normal on my level, but fuck it. Let's just actually, you know what? Let me reset this. Okay, I reset my world for heroic, as you can see in the top left, because I want to show y'all accurate numbers so people don't say I'm bullshitting. Even though this here is back on normal, we'll reset this here for heroic, and you see. That way y'all know that when I show y'all something, I'm not trying to fuck up anything. I'm trying to show y'all real numbers. So this is going to be a perfect example. I'm not lying to you. So you see, we can aim at a target. It aims right for the chest. So we have to come out of cover. This is why I'm saying glass cannon cannot be beneficial sometimes. If you want to use it, that's fine. But when you aim at that head, the sniper round goes straight for the head shot. So let's get a kill. You see, chest shot, aim at the head, it goes for the head. So we snipe, boom. Now that's about 13 mil a headshot. Snipe, boom, 13 mil. It's that easy. So let's increase this a little bit higher so we can show it. There you go, 11. All right, there's a 7. But still, I mean, we're hitting pretty hard. Now you see we weren't aiming at the chest. There he goes. Now here's the White Death. Again, we can also get the extra damage on this from the White Death. There's a 12.9, another 13 mil. Now another reason why we have the White Death with health damage is so because those little helmets that some of these characters wear, and even Chongas, are health damage. So the health damage doesn't help the sniper turret, it helps your weapon. Versus on the Surge, we have headshot damage because that does apply in that one spot. Now the specialist pistol that's on this character as well, the technician, also gives you spikes. So that's another piece you can put on here that I just haven't unlocked for this character. Now, I had a lot of controversy on one of my videos about Oxy, but still, it depends on the player, on what you want to use. So I went through, narrowed everything down to give it the best duration of damage, the best everything, so it wasn't anything to take away, because we want the Oxy to have the most damage possible. So a 612 on here is your better. Now you can use a capacitor as a backup, but you're going to lose out on the damage to targets out of cover, which actually helps it out, but still nonetheless just as good, because you can get more damage out just by stacking it out. Now we have 3-piece Empress and tech support. Now originally I had the waveform, but the waveform was just swapping too much and we don't have 2 damage skills, so we took the waveform off and put on Empress, a 3rd piece of Empress. And this actually does kind of help it out a little bit more, but you would still see more damage when the waveform was on the Oxy, so it's player's choice. Now we have a piece of Providence here. Now this is where I say it's controversial, because we could still take a lot of damage if we were to hit ourselves. So I had to go find one that I could roll the core to blue, and this is where it helped out. This is where it made the build the best. This piece alone, having this blue armor core here, was what made this build and the skill hit the hardest. Now we have Petrov gloves and the Fox's knee pads, so contractors and Foxes for this. Now without that chest piece the way it is, this build was not performing properly. So you want to find that one that has the blue core. The reason why is because it gives you the survivability and you can trade that piece out. Now, a lot of people leave it with the red because they have the technician. It's a bad move. Get that thing to a blue core, because that's going to allow you the survivability to stand out here and shoot. So you can see we're able to get that damage out still. Now, once the tech support kicks in, there it is. Okay, now we're going to show the damage numbers. Let's hit it again. Shoot. 621. 621,084. Now we can also stack out the capacitor. Try to stack this thing out. I keep switching back and forth. Dang it, come on. Don't do that. Alright, hold on a second. Had to put the capacitor as my number 1 weapon in my hands, just that way when I shoot, it would swap away and swap back to it. So let's shoot, get the capacitor maxed out. Launch, swap back to the capacitor. You see 645. So again, our shotgun was hitting just as strong as a capacitor when the capacitor is maxed out, if y'all can see that. So the shotgun is still going to be your better go-to within sync than the capacitor. It's going to be the piece you want in your number 1 slot. Yeah, you're losing a little bit of damage compared to the capacitor, but it just takes 1 bullet and then boom, you get all that damage. For 621 versus 644 or something like that, 643. So still, the shotgun's the better piece to go to. Now this Hazpro build is not just for PvP. This is also for, say, like when you're running through on Iron Horse and you got to get through certain spots. So we're going to put on the Grenadier to get the extra hazard protection from the status effects. Now, because when our armor can break, we want to have that extra reload speed. So it depends on what weapons you prefer. Now, there are two ways to set this up. If you're an AR kind of guy, and this is what you prefer, these two weapons, then by all means put this on. Now, again, the one weapon right here, or Eagle Bear, are the best on this type of build, but you can also get more damage out of the Lady of Death, mainly because the Eagle Bear has been fixed to where you won't take damage, but those skill damages or bullets that you take when you're on the tenacity buff can come back and kill you if you don't continuously get the kills. So Eagle Bear AR version of this is not always the best. Your best is actually a Lady of Death version. So we'll go over that later on. But for now, we're talking about the crit chance and the crit damage. You can see I got a lot of crit chance because this is an AR and we just added in all this. So what you would do is, if you don't like the AR version, just come in here, change out your crit chance mods, just take it all to crit damage. And I'll do that right here so I can show you how much crit damage you'll have with the crit chance of the Lady of Death. So give me a few seconds. Alright, there we go. We're at 51 and 134. So again, you're not going to be a whole lot of damage out of this build. You're going to have a lot of survivability. As you can see, 100% burn and 90% to everything else. Now, we are wasting 10% burn resistance, but that's fine because burns are the strongest thing in here. We just want to get that at 100, but being 90 at all the other ones, literally you take no damage from them whatsoever. Now, on this, you could still have an AR as a good backup if you wanted to, and because this one here gives the more damage than a FAMAS because it's the perfect opportunistic, go ahead, put that on. Your skills, that's all you would choose, but again, we're basically going with the two-piece Seska to get the extra hazard chance and the crit chance. We're going with an Unbreakable here, and we have a Fenris, which you can easily change to a Sokolov piece so you can get the extra weapon damage out for your SMG, which is the better version. And then one piece of Y'all gear like I have here. Now I have Companion because one, we have these two pieces, we're going to be nearby healers, we're going to be nearby other players, so Companion is the better piece to go to. Plus your drone or your decoy, or even if you want to put a roly-poly ball on so you can keep that damage going, is just as good. And then we have the Contractor's Gloves and Fox's Knees. So, I mean, in short, general, this is how we get our multiplicatives out, and at the same time, we're also getting the damage for, say, you know, just overall and total. And on top of that, because we have the hazard protections in here, we give ourselves survivability. So again, this allows us to continuously run with the Lady of Death to keep getting damage out. Now, as you see, I changed this up a little bit just to get the two-piece Seska, the Sokolov, and the one-piece Y'all. So it's still the exact same build, but like I said, we've got the extra weapon damage for the SMG. Now, because we're at 90% riot foam, they cannot riot foam you, so the Lady of Death will always be able to stay proc. So as you can see, just run, gun, build up your stacks, shoot. Let's get some headshots. 548 is the max. So yeah, I mean, again, no riot foam will touch you, no bleeds, no burns, and you just keep moving and moving and moving. 422. So yeah. Now this is a countdown build. Now this build right here, because everybody wants to know about a countdown build, this one will allow you to solo a countdown as well as help out your teammates in a group countdown. Now we have the Picaro holster here just because we want to get our skills back a little bit faster. A Grupo is honestly better on this, but if you can't get the Grupo, don't worry about it. You can actually trade off the Picaro holster and everything and put on an improvised holster here, and at the same time put on the Fox's knee pads like these down here on this spot and still get the protection from elites and get the damage out. So it's player's choice on these two spots: Fox's knees, Grupo holster, or the Picaro's holster. I went with the Picaro just because I can get my skills back a little bit faster to help myself out, to help my teammates out. Now, the build is simple. We're using the crossbow because it gives us protection from elites and status effect damages for our teammates. We also get the Scorpio damage out of this so we can stop them. Now that's if they don't have the hazard protection on. Now we have an ACS 12, which you can easily switch to a 612, get more damage out, and still go with flatline. It's player's choice. I just go with the ACS 12 because it shoots and shoots and shoots, and sometimes it actually does scare. You can see the ads like run and cover because they're scared as fuck. Now we have the Gilligard Night Watcher mask on with protection from elites, as you can see right here. This way we can get some extra damage out. We have the setup for the extra armor, as well as the multiplicatives to help out other players with the opportunistic. We have the Badger Tough with the spotter on here, so we can get that spotted extra damage out from our shotguns. We have one piece improvised on here for the extra spot for the protection from elites. I'm using the Picaro because of the skill haste and the weapon damage and the crit chance and the crit damage. And I have an improvised set of knee pads. Now if I had an extra perfect 13, which would be my 5th one, we'd be at 75%. Now this caps at 80. So we're literally at the max protection from elites possible on this build technically. Because again, it caps at 80. So we're not going to waste that 5% to get another 13% mod. You know what I mean? So let's show you some damage. Now again, here's the build. Here's an elite, and there we go. 325, 374. Again, this is before pulse. So if we go ahead and pulse, 374, 430. And you see we pretty much four tap that elite. Now if you have that extra damages in there, we could actually like 1 or 2 tap them. Like that's how strong it can get. And as you see back here, we got hard or heroic. And we got heroic right here. So again, we pulse. Should take about 4 shots or 5. Yep. So again, you can almost 2 tap to 1 tap elite or you know, any kind of ad inside a countdown. Now as for hunters, not so much, but this does help your teammates out when they're nearby trying to kill those hunters. Now Heartbreaker has 2 different ways to set this up. I'm going to go over both of them, but I'm going to show you the one that I found that gives the most damage and survivability at the same time. Since Heartbreaker is LMG and AR, but the shotguns work the best on here so you can stack it up faster, we're going to go with these 2, okay? Now maybe they'll change it later on, but again we have the ACS 12 with flatline and the Scorpio shotgun on here. Now the Scorpio does not have a laser pointer, so we have to use a pulse for that one. But because the ACS 12 does, we're going to go with that. Now you can throw on the Heartbreaker backpack and get extra bonus armor, but you don't need it. Rather than doing that and getting extra damage out, go with the setup. Okay, the setup will give you and your teammates extra damage. Now this is for countdown and just out in gameplay. Now if you want to use the backpack, I suggest putting on the Fox's Prayers like that, and then keeping the Coyotes, because you're going to be so close and personal on this. You can get the multiplicative out of the Foxes and the multiplicative from the extra crit hit damage off the Coyotes. That's if you're using the backpack. But as you can see, we basically doubled our armor. We got white armor and blue armor, so that's going to allow us to keep that damage up. And at the same time, we've got the setup backpack that gives us the extra damage. So this is the better way to use it. Now, if they fix the LMG and the ARs to stack blue armor faster, then we'll talk about that later on. But until then, since shotguns work the best, you're better off using the backpack talent that actually benefits the shotguns. So I hope that makes sense on this. And again, since you're also going to do countdown, you can also throw protection from elite mods in here where the mod slots are, and just go with everything like it is, crit damage everywhere, and just go to town, because someone will give you a Coyotes proc. Now for Negotiator's Dilemma, you're pretty much good to set with any of the high damage weapons. Now, you don't have to use these specific ones. You can use LMGs, you can use whatever you want. As for a talent on your chest piece, that's fine. You're still better off because you get the headshot damage for this if you're going to use things like rifles, but because you can also get killed because you're killing like multiple targets, you can even go minigunner to get that extra armor on kill if you want. Doesn't really matter on this one. But mine that I found for the most damage possible is going to be your M1A. Now again, you can use boomerang or you can use rifleman. For here I use a Kingbreaker just so that way I can get those extra damage, because most of the time we got people who are pulsed, ads that are getting pulsed. So we set up the Kingbreaker just like this. Now again, because we know focus is the strongest talent, we're going to put focus on the chest. Now for the mask, I use the Coyotes. One is because I can give out the crit chance and I can help out my teammates that way. And I can spread out an even amount of damage by using the Negotiator's backpack. Now, this build in Negotiators is made to kill multiple targets at once, not trying to go one-on-one versus one target. It's made to kill multiple. So we get the most damage from the focus piece like this, but I'm using a Seska rather than the Araldis, just so that way, if they're close, I have 52% crit chance, and I can crit more bullets and still get the crit damage as I get kills from Negotiators. So this here helps it out a lot more. Now you can run it different ways if you want. Negotiators is kind of like hey, you're fighting one ad versus multiple ads, but it's made for multiple ads. Now I'll demonstrate why right here. So we hit one, you see the little red tag. I shoot, it doesn't always crit all the time, but once you get that red tag, it tags both of them. I just killed two with one shot on this character. And then I tag another one, and you see just keep on spacing it out. So it's not about engaging one target, it's about engaging multiple targets. So when people show like XL numbers and stuff, they might be right for the damage by using Vigilance or something, but they're negating this right here where I'm hitting this target, I'm hitting this target, and I'm shooting a different target after that. They're not showing the gameplay, and that's where it all falls down. So Negotiators, it's all about hitting this target and then shooting the next target after you get tagged, and then shooting another target after you get that red tag like that. So we shoot one, we get the tag, we shoot another target, get the tag, shoot another target, get a tag, and just keep on spacing out that damage. So this is why having Negotiators like this is way better than anything else. And as you see, we stack out the green bar for the Negotiators faster by doing so. So let's get these. And this will go show you the damage numbers once you get Negotiators maxed out. Alright, let's get this so we can make sure we still keep the clear. One more time, and we'll take it to Elite. And as you can see, we got a farther away target. So let's get the full crit chance, crit damage. There we go. Almost 3 mil. Yep, 3.2. So that's where the crit chance, crit damage. So let's get the target close, and let's show the maxed out crit damage. 3.3, 3.32, 3.32. Now again, that's also with 2 blues. So if you want to fight one-on-one, it's not good to do it this way, put Vigilance on. But if you want to get multiple, do it this way. Now, when it comes to snipers, this is the strongest sniper build you're going to come across. Now, number one, you got to use a sharpshooter. Number two, we're using a White Death. Now, I have other videos on why I use Future Perfect. It really does help the build more than damage, because not only are you able to get the kills with this easily, you're also able to build your skills up to help you and your teammates. Now, a great backup weapon is a Nemesis, because sometimes, even though the Dread Edict does give you extra armor and the Mantis allows your decoy to, get more out of it, the Mantis can literally one-tap certain yellow bosses. So these two are the best. Now, a great backup is the Mozambique Special, just because you get that extra headshot damage. So even if you were to land a few body shots and you have all this headshot damage, This Mozambique with all this red can actually hit for like 1.2 mil a headshot once you get that thing stacked out. So for aces, it's simple, headshot everywhere. Now we do have an Araldi's backpack. Now I have weapon handling. Now some people say crit chance or crit damage is better. Weapon handling is honestly really good on this because this allows the player to stay in cover and shoot out of cover while staying in the cover itself and still hit those headshots. Now we have a walker here. Now I'm going to show you a difference because I've tested this out and for some reason I still don't understand how it's that much different, because we're talking 15% headshot versus the 5% weapon damage. But these two, literally from what I got numbers, should be nearly the same, but the walker still outperforms the Providence. Now I don't know why. Maybe it's just this 25 right here on the very first shot, but when you max them all the way out, there's really not that much difference. It's really not once they're maxed out and you've hit those headshots. But at the very first few bullets, it does matter. So let's demonstrate some of this. So you can see we got a far away target, we got some out there. So what we're going to do is we got a name target. We're going to set this for about 20. We're going to kill these targets on the left, get our stacks up for the headhunter. There it is, it's maxed out, but we're going to take it all the way up. One more, a few more. Okay, we reload. Now as you can also see, my skills, my hive is at level 4. So that allows me to pick up players. So again, that's how you benefit your team as well as you yourself. Because if I were to pulse, you see I got multiple spots to hit. So let's say I missed that headshot, I can hit those other areas. Maybe his head's not easily shown because he's doing something. You know, I can easily go to and max this out and get 4. Plus it gives it the cooldown timer. And you see we pulse again because we keep that going. Boom, we get more spots to hit. Now it takes a while for that thing to cool down. We're in the firing range, but still same concept. Now if an NPC or player is close nearby, this is what weapon handling does. You can see I have to get that dot, which I don't have my dot turned on right now, but if I aim just a little bit to the left, boom, headshot. Aim just a little bit to the left, boom, headshot. I'm in cover. That's what weapon handling, those two pieces help on this White Death. Boom, still headshot, still get those max numbers. Now, same with the Nemesis. This also makes the Nemesis a little bit easier to target because of the headshot or the weapon handling on there. It doesn't sway as much. So you can see we're just landing those shots. And then if we pulse, and we got lucky. 1 mil, or 100 mil, sorry, 100 mil. Yeah, so again, we're literally, you can one tap a boss. That one was 98, but okay. Now we've had it upgrade to Strikers, but really Strikers has not changed. It really hasn't. We're using the minigunner because we're literally going to be crapping out rounds because one, the best gun on here, it's no SMG, no anything. Although you can have an apartment as a good backup, the only good weapon is a Bullet King and the ACS-12. These two are the only ones that can near max out, or sometimes because you can get this fast reload, the Chameleon. These three, I'll say, are the best on the Striker build. Now the Chameleon, because if you can land those feet shots first, you can get that instant freaking reload. I mean instant reload. So these two, unless you're using the Chameleon, are the best on this build, period. There's no beating it. Now the Strikers build, it's pretty simple. You can put crit damage, crit chance where you want it. I put crit chance mods in till I got to a certain point, put some crit damage in there, and everything else is crit damage. Now again, I'm using the Fox's knee pads for the multiplicative on here, and I'm using the Memento because this is also going to give us extra damage. We're going to get about 5% more, plus it's going to give me survivability, which the build lacks. Because we get all this damage, we have no survivability. So you want some kind of survivability on the build, so we're going to use the Memento on this just to keep ourselves alive. You can see we got 3% regen. So while we're doing that, we're using the Stryker's chest piece to get the max potential damage out of the build. Now, again, with this, we get the 30% here, and I think the chest piece in total was about, I think, 100% more weapon damage. But again, the skills that you want, that's player's choice. I use a shield and a defender drone just to keep me alive. Even though the LMG will not work with the shield, the defender drone will. So if you want to use a chameleon in the shield, again, you get the crit chance because the bottom attribute is a crit chance. And it has a lot of crit chance on there. So it just makes it easier to land those critical hit damage bullets. So, ACS 12, best on the build. Here's why. See the Stryker's gamble, how it goes up? We almost maxed out with one mag. Almost fully maxed out with one mag. Second mag, definitely maxed out. It's that easy. Now I have close and personal because you're going to be close and personal with this to get this ACS 12 to hit. So you might as well throw something on like close and personal that actually helps it out. You can see we're hitting for like 320. Now you can increase your crit chance and then lose crit damage and the numbers will go down, but you'll crit more of them, and that's player's choice on the build. I try to just keep around the 30 mark because someone will give me the crit chance that I need at times when I'm playing with them as a team. So again, that's player's choice where you want those at. So here we go. With Foundry Bulwark, everybody wants to run a certain way. The firewall is decent. It's okay because you're giving out that extra damage to your players because you're going to be close to them. But we're using the Technician for right now because of the Artificer Hive. If the devs allow us to move the Artificer Hive around, we will do so, because then we can put on the firewall and drop this red core and then give our teammates extra damage. Now, until that happens, this is how you want it set up. The Foundry Bulwark, set up just like this, is going to give you the most potential gains from this build. Everything hazard protection. All your mods, disrupt resistance. But your backpack has to be a Bellstone. Now the Bellstone with Protector helps your teammates out and gives you that extra armor regen. Do not go for the Gilligard. The Gilligard doesn't benefit you that much. Having that extra Bellstone on there gives you the more armor regen. Put your Gilligard here. Now the Perfect Vanguard will keep your shield alive and give your teammates more armor. But you don't have to use the Gilligard like this. But it does give you 100% disrupt resistance. If you don't want to do that, you can also throw on tardigrade. So let's say you're not always using your shield, or you're not able to drop your shield and put it back out in time. Go with a tardigrade. Tardigrade is just as good. Now you're going to lose 10% disrupt resistance, as well as other hazards. So you might as well make your choice. Which one do you want? You want to give your teammates way more bonus armor, more constant, or tardigrade? That's player's choice. As for the Bulwark, here's the stats. Now, if we were to use a firewall, we have this as an extra active regen, so it jumps it up to 2,000 more. Shield, again, probably, I don't know, about 10k more or so. But that's pretty much Foundry Bulwark, ladies and gentlemen. And again, hopefully they allow us to change that over and put the Artificer Hive elsewhere. And let me show you the other stats. You can see we're at 70% hazard protection. And again, if you put the tardigrade on, all these drop by 10. So keep that in mind. Now, even if you were to put the tardigrade on, you'd still be pretty well disrupt resistant, no matter what happens. Now, Rigor is a cheap man's mortar build. I've said this many times in other videos. It is literally a cheap man's mortar build. But it's also really good because you can keep throwing those skills out constantly. So it's more vital at times for a mortar. Now, same weapons, same setup, but on this one, you can use a card 45, not the TDI one, but if you get one with Future Perfect, go ahead and do so. If you do get damage to armor, because again, the damage to armor helps out your mortar, as well as your traps. Now, the Rigor piece is the only one that can actually benefit from skill duration. You don't need skill haste, you don't need anything else, no repair skills, nothing, just the duration. The duration allows those traps to last out there a little bit longer at times, and that's pretty much it. Now the backpack, as soon as you deconstruct something, you get it right back, as long as you don't pick it up, you know what I mean? And I'll demonstrate that later. Now, as for this, you want one piece somewhere of China Light. Now, you do not have to put the China Light like I have here with the glass cannon. I do that because I want my weapons to have damage. I want any and everything I use to have damage. Weapons, skills, all that. So I use the China Light here. The Rigor chest piece gives you the glass cannon effect for your skills, but it does not give your weapons the 25% damage. So that is why I use the China Light glass cannon chest piece. Now, because we're using 2 damage skills, we have the waveform. Again, here they are. Traps are the best, as well as the mortar for this build. So let me demonstrate. With this build, if I put this turret out here, I shoot, because we're not worried about the damage because it's not even close to an actual mortar build. If you want to look at the numbers, you can slow down the video yourself. But as I deconstruct, boom, I get it right back instantly. So let's go take off this skill haste to show you, just in case y'all don't understand it or you're new to the game. If I throw these traps out here, like so, and say some of them are still alive, well, NPCs walk over most of them, I can delete them and get them right back instantly. Now this only works in PvP. Supposedly it has been, or PvE, sorry. It has been taken away from PvP because it was badly abused. Now, I don't know if they fully fixed it or not, but let's see what the capacitor can do when these are maxed out. There you go, for those who want to know. And again, as you see, we pick it up, we get a timer. That's what you want to avoid. So if I were to say, I'm going to use up as many rounds as I can, okay? We're going to use up everything we can. Give me a second. Take a little while. Probably take this down to about 3 and then deconstruct. So you see, if I pick it up, we have a timer, and that's what you want to avoid. Now I'm going to toss this thing out there so I can't pick it up, and then we're going to use up some rounds, and that's what you want to do. You want to find somewhere where you can throw this thing where you won't be able to pick it up. That way it'll help avoid you from having to worry about accidentally picking this thing up. We'll use a couple of rounds, deconstruct, and then boom. That easy. You get more damage back that quick. Now, this first version I'm going to show you is a PvE version. Everybody knows about this. Is it the best sniper build? No, not really. But is it really good for the pistol? Most definitely. Now, this here is not probably the best and strongest pistol for the Regulus, but if we put on the D&H chest piece, just like this, with the crit hit damage and the headshot damage and so on, or crit chances you prefer, or even weapon handling, you can actually get this pistol to hit pretty damn high. So we have headshot damage everywhere, and on top of that, this right here is what I want to talk about for a second. As you can see, I switched this to PvP. The damage changes from signature weapon to grenades. So we will be showing a PvP version. Now, is it a great build? No. Honestly, tip of the spear is something I want reworked completely, because these two pieces, or this build, it's very iffy. I wouldn't take this into PvE or PvP, but I'm going to show you two builds if you want to use these. Now, again, headshot damage we want that for the PvE side, not the PvP one, okay? Can't stress this enough. This is the PvE version. So we have the sniper specialist on here for the pistol. Faster acquisition, basically giving us some weapon handling. And we're going to go with the 4-piece tip of the spear. Now we also have the Providence backpack on here. And sorry, again, this is a kind of a really strange build for some people because the Aces hits a lot harder. But this one here just kind of benefits your specialist sniper rifle a lot more because you get that headshot damage out. So having the gift backpack with the crit chance and the headshot damage just really does help out the build. And then you can go with the D&H chest piece, which helps out your pistol and so forth. Getting the headhunter, so this is about landing headshots. And again, I haven't really found a really good way for tip of the spear except for this, where it actually is beneficial for players. But we're using the Achilles pulse and the Bulwark shield so we can have some survivability. Achilles pulse them and then get the extra damage out for the pistol and so forth, just like the Aces build. So with a PvE version, we're going to snipe, get that extra green damage you can see down here. Now I'm just doing this to stack headhunter, a few extra shots. I only got one more, so we use that. And then we come over here, we Achilles pulse, get the head to land, and then bam, 20 something mil. And you see after we do that, we only get 16 mil. So we'd have to come over here, shoot again, shoot again. All right, we got it. Pulse, bam, just like that. So we've got the extra damage from the tip of the spear. We've got the extra headshot damage, but as you see, if you miss those shots, you're only going to hit for about 16 mil, which again, for that pistol, it's not bad. It's really not bad. But again, the Achilles pulse is what makes this build a lot better. Now here is the PvP version. Now what I have come up with, and it works okay, but again, I would not take this into PvP, but if you want to take it into PvP to have a fun time when there's nobody really going rogue or something, by all means. Now the fire grenade and the sniper specialist grenade, or even this one right here, is really good with this build. Now the other ones, not so much, but as long as you can hit them with the grenade, that's fine. That's basically against players or NPCs and so forth. So crossbow or sniper are the best. Now, but this one, we're going to use a lefty shotgun or any weapon you can find with the sledgehammer. Really doesn't matter. Any weapon you can find with the sledgehammer talent just makes this so much better. Even the stage left, because it gives you the perfect sledgehammer. It slows them down a little bit more. And that fire grenade, as long as they're inside the fire grenade, or if you can camp a door, really good. So even this build can be used in PvE. But this one here is mainly for PvP because we're throwing those grenades, and we're going to show you because, again, of the stats earlier. Now, I still have the Regulus on this, just in case. But on this one, we went all crit hit damage and so forth. Now, on the chest piece, you can use Mad Bomber. Mad Bomber will actually help out the build because the grenade gets bigger radius, so you can hit more targets. But using the Golem, the Anarchist Cookbook, because you've got that status effect and it keeps it on them longer, is better. This also gives you the chance to get more of your Wicked out for a longer period of time, allowing you to actually get this lefty shotgun or anything with Sledgehammer to do more damage for a longer period of time. Now, again, I'm using Spotter on my chest piece rather than Mad Bomber, but the concept is still the same. You're just losing damage to get bigger radius to do more damage out of your weapon for against more targets. And you see, it doesn't hit very hard. And again, that's another reason why I'm like, it's a fun build. It is not a build I would actually take into there. So if we landed a grenade, it would be the same as I hit that crossbow. So you can see we got that extra damage. It's just like this in PvP. I land a grenade, I get that green damage like this, and then, okay, the damage numbers ain't showing. There we go. 229. So you see we went up tremendously just by having that extra proc from the tip of the spear right there, which is if we hit a grenade, and you see down here, you get an extra 20% for 60 seconds for landing a grenade, and you automatically generate a grenade every 60 seconds as well. So the time when that timer would come off, you would be able to throw another grenade and get the damage back, and so on and so forth. And again, you don't have to use Sledgehammer. You can use whatever you want for a weapon, whatever you prefer. I just found that this here's a fun one to help your teammates out as well as to help yourself out, and so forth. So that's player's choice, but America, fuck yeah. And here we come to True Patriot, the most controversial build out there because people want to run ARs, SMGs, LMGs, so on and so forth. The crossbow is honestly going to be your best bet. And I'm going to explain to you why, because this build is all about helping your teammates out. Now, you can also throw on a minigunner if you want to give them ammo, but the crossbow is going to give them 10% more weapon damage because of what and how you're going to use this build. So, again, this is a player's choice, but at the same time, if you want the most bang for your buck, this is how you use it. Now, because we do a status effect, Scorpio. Scorpio's the best. It gives them that extra damage, and it can give them 20% more. So now we're sitting at 30%. The setup backpack, we can give them an extra 15. So now we're at 45%, ladies and gentlemen. 45% weapon damage on whatever target you shoot. Then we use a Badger Tough chest piece with Overwatch. Now this gives your team an extra 12. So now we're sitting at 57% weapon damage. Now, you have to be in cover for 10 seconds, and then with this, we have an extra 8% weapon damage to a red flag. So that's what, 65%? And then at the same time, we're debuffing the enemy by 8%, and we're giving them regen for the white piece. Yeah, this build set up this way will give your teammates, whatever you shoot, 65% more in weapon damage. So, crit chance 38, crit damage 151. Now, someone's going to be using the coyote, so you'll get your crit chance out later. So get it all crit damage. Now, on here, it's player's choice for your stuff. You can use a shield, get up close and personal, a booster hive to help get your teammates that extra melee damage, whatever you prefer for skills. That's really all True Patriot does. So you're boosting your teammates by using it this way. So let's show some damages. Now, again, I have 3 blues, 3 reds, because I want my weapon to do damage, as well as the explosive does more damage as well for more blues that you have. But it's not all about the explosive damage. Having your build have half and half, 3 reds, 3 blues, allows you to do weapon damage to break them down quicker, as well as to get the explosive out. So as you can see, we flag them all the way up. And boom, kills that one over there. I wish it did a chain effect for if they had a flag. So you kill one, it explodes the next one, and it explodes the next one. That would be freaking awesome. I wish the devs would look at that. Where I hit them with one flag, like this, and say another one was flagged up right next to him and he died, it would blow him up, and just do like a chain reaction flag. That would be freaking awesome, wouldn't it? And you see we're hitting for like almost 2 mil in explosive. Y'all saw that? 1.9 mil in explosive. And that's with 3 blues, 3 reds. So here we go with the damage numbers. You can see it just keeps increasing. I max at 516. So yeah, and then your teammates also get that extra damage on top of that towards the enemy. So that's True Patriot. Now, with the Hunter's Fury build, honestly, it's going to be player's choice on what you want as your specialist. You can be giving out your teammates an extra 10% for your status effects that you do to them when you kill something. You can also give your teammates an extra 10% damage for being close to enemies and have this great med pack for the firewall. Again, you can also do armor on kill here for an extra 10%. You can even, if they were to crack your armor, get an instant reload and survive some burns by using the Grenadier. So those four, whatever you prefer on here. Now, as for your weapons, these two are honestly your best bet. Now, you can always use a Lady of Death. You can always use a Chatterbox. You can always use a Backfire. It doesn't matter what you want. I wouldn't use a Backfire, honestly. But the SIG MPX with Close and Personal is beast mode. Because, one, you get that high fire rate. You get the extra crit chance to crit damage. And if you didn't want to use it, the Apartment is also another good one to use. But it's honestly going to be player's choice. Now, another great weapon to have is the KSG shotgun. The reason why is because this pummel right here is honestly the best pummel out. Now, the M870, it hits the same amount as this Lullaby, so 1.5 versus 1.4. You have 12 rounds in here. Now, once you max out like a Memento backpack on here, or even if you wanted to do just Adrenaline Rush Intimidate type version and lose that 30% weapon damage, player's choice, the pummel will still 1 tap a red, 2 tap a purple, and almost or can 2 tap a yellow with this build. So again, if you don't like the Memento, you can go to something else. Now, for your skills, Shield is always a good backup, and then Pulse so you can see where any enemies are, or even a Jammer Pulse, so that way you can status affect them to help your teammates out even faster and get that damage out. Or you can decoy up, you know, whatever you prefer. Now, we have 57% crit chance because of the Seska on our chest piece. And then we have 36% crit chance because of the chest piece as well. So that's how we're able to hit them for so hard. So let's demonstrate. 4 shots. Now we're going to keep stacking out the piece, try to get that extra damage out. And you see pummel already. Look at that. 1, 2 to a yellow. 1, 2 to a yellow. 1, 2. Just keep on hitting them non-stop. You can't beat that, ladies and gentlemen. Now again, I'm also missing 30% weapon damage because I don't have any blue armor. If I had the blue armor, just imagine, we'd be getting almost a 1 tap sometimes. So because we're missing that, again, we're missing some damage numbers on this, so I'm not going to throw these damage numbers up on here. But again, this is how strong it can be, just even without the Intimidate. So you can even put like Spotter on and just pulse them, and boom, you get even more damage. It's player's choice on that for your chest piece. But again, we can hit 1 mil numbers. Now we come to one build that is fairly new. I have tested this out, and honest to God, it's kind of underperforming for me. I don't see myself using this, but I wanted to try to find the best way, and it's nearly just the same as Strikers. It literally is just the same. The only difference is you actually get survivability, and because we have that high survivability while we're in cover, we can also use the Memento to get survivability out of cover. So this allows you to get damage out while out of cover, and survivability out of cover, and damage and survivability while in cover by using the Memento backpack. So this right here just seemed like the better setup for what I was testing. Now you might see something else different, but I found that this right here made it to where I almost didn't go down at all. Like, I mean, you literally just, it's almost impossible to kill this player once you have this Memento fully maxed out. And this is also good in PvP the same way. Now we have 2 different weapons, but we're using the Emmeline's Guard And you can use the chameleon instead to get the extra damage out for farther range in PvE. As for PvP, I would just go with something else, honestly, whatever you prefer. Like apartment. That's why I always have the apartment as a backup. Now, it also gives you the fast reload speed, so yeah, it just synergizes together really well. But I want to show y'all something more about this build than anything. As you see, watch my damage numbers. 205 in cover, okay, 289, 286, and it starts going down, but you saw it jump up because of the health, so let's take it down. We were at 286, 274, 272, so the numbers go down as you stay out of cover. That is something I don't like. I would rather shoot and get damage than it go down in damage after starting off, because that means I got to go back into cover to get more damage, and I don't like that about this. So again, we get more damage for shooting those chest shots and head shots, and we don't get anything in the shooting range for shooting the crotch area, which would give us the legs. So yeah, as you stay out of cover, it goes down in damage, and that's something I don't like. Now, you can gain it back just by going back into cover, and then it comes back pretty quick. But again, that memento stacks. As you see, I have extra damage while in cover, and I have extra healing while out of cover. So the memento just synergizes with this build way more than anything else. And you see, we got regen while out of cover. We go into cover, we get huge regen way faster. And then when we come out of cover, we still have regen, and you can see it's going up. In cover, more regen, and just so on and so forth. It just synergizes with the build pretty well. But that's pretty much all I got for this build. Now, the only other thing is I've seen some people use, instead of the foxes, they're using glass cannon. And honestly, I don't like it. One, yes, it does synergize because you can be in cover and get the regen back. With the memento, you can be out of cover and get the regens, the extra damage. I lost my memento proc, but for instance, if I'm out here and I'm shooting, I get this damage. It's still lower than what I was using if I was using the chest piece. It really is. For some reason, it seems to me like I would take too much of a risk using this. So I wanted to put this part into this video because I don't think that being out of cover, taking like 60 or 50% would benefit you because it brings you down. So honestly, if you're going to use it, use the chest piece and use something else. You don't have to use the foxes. Let's say you prefer Sokolov. Go put you on a Sokolov piece for your SMG. If you prefer ARs, go with Fenris. Everyone get to the chopper. It's time for the Pestilence build. Alright, so we got a Pestilence build. Now, this is another piece of controversy. A lot of people prefer to use it a different way. I want my tick. I want my Pestilence. I want everything to do the most amount of damage possible. The damage per bullet, the damage per tick, everything. As well as I want survivability. Now, is the Pestilence build always about survivability? No, this thing is just about getting that damage out. When you're reloading, you want that tick to hit hard, so it just continues to hit hard. So it's going to be player's choice on this. Now, there's tons of ways to throw it together. Honestly, there really is. But if you want the most bang for your buck, you're going to get the Heartbreaker out here. Now, you go with crit chance, crit damage, where you can get as much, kind of get to that 40 plane of crit chance, and then get the rest in crit damage. Now, we're using a two-piece Heartbreaker for the LMG damage, and that LMG damage is going to actually help increase your ticks damage, as well as having the crit chance instead of the weapon handling is good. Now, another way you can do this, put a Coyote's mask on. Down here, you could put Grupo, you could put Walker, or you can even put the Picaro's holster. Honestly, for your bullets damage, go with the Grupo, because you already got good sized ticks. Go with the Grupo. The Picaro holster will help out the tick, but it's not going to help out the bullets damage as much. But you can also get your skills back compared to the Picaro's holster by using that. So it's honestly player's choice, but you want 2 pieces of Walker and Harris. Now this gives you 34, as close as I could get it, and not losing past the 100% crit hit damage. So that's what we went with. Now in here, you can use Sawyers or Foxes. The Sawyers will give you the more tick damage, but, well, it'll also give you the more weapon bullet damage, but the Foxes will allow you to maneuver. So rather than just sitting in one spot, you can actually run and gun with the Foxes. So you'll lose tick damage and bullet damage, but at the same time, you can move around and avoid players or NPCs. So let's show you some versions. So right now, you can see we're just showing the normal version we had earlier, 509. Let's see how max the tick gets. 1396. And that is the highest tick damage you're going to see in this game right now while solo. Now, another way we can test this, let's put on the Grupo. And like I said, you can put on the Coyotes here. So what we'll do is we'll trade this off because we can't use this exotic. We're going to put on the Overlord. And we're going to put on the Coyotes. And just because, let's go ahead and throw the crit damage in so we can show the bullet damage. And yeah, either one of these. Okay, we'll go with that. So now we're sitting at 40. We got the 40 plane and the 156. So our bullets will be hitting hard, but our tick will not. So see, we got 633 for our bullet damage, which is really good. Now this is what you would want to use against like players or something like that in the dark zone. Now, as you can see, we still got a 1.127 on our tick. That's not bad. That's what you want in the dark zone. You want it to look like that. Now, if you're not going to use the dark zone and you want to go against, say, PvE, and you want your tick to hit the highest, you're going to go with it like this. And where's the other one? I wouldn't say, actually I said the highest. Sorry, I'm not, that's my bad. That's if you want to be mobile highest. Mobile highest. Okay, so now some people say that the Providence chest hits the highest, so let's put this to the rest. Because it's the 30%. Alright, we got 1390 tick. And if you remember earlier, it was 1396. So just in case you don't believe me, we're going to trade off this Providence and we're going to put on a Walker. Put it right back to the original way. Where'd my Walker go? 1390 is the number to beat. 2-piece Walker. And 1396. So there you go. There's the max tick. So again, there's multiple ways if you want to run it. I've shown you in this part of the video of how you can run the Pestilence build. It's player's choice, honestly. Now this is a 7.3 something or other regen, which is actually 7.4. And I'll show you how to do so. This one can be used in PvP or PvE. Honestly, it's a fun build. It is not something I would use in a dire situation. It's not something I would use on a constant basis. But if you want to use this build, here it is. It's a 7.4. Now we have the minigunner because we need the ammo. the extra armor on kill. You can also use a firewall for the med pack to keep yourself alive, give teammates extra damage because you're going to be close and personal. So this is going to be player's choice on that. Now, as for your two weapons, you want the apartment and the Lady of Death. These two just synergize with this to give you the most damage and so on. Now, you can actually get some more armor regen by putting on like Emilia's Guard, but because you already have the high regen, you want the damage out, go with these two. Now, we have a Seska to get our crit chance out. You do not need the Sokolov. You can if you want, but you want this Seska to break the 50 mark, so pretty much every bullet you shoot will crit. Now, as you can see, we got crit damage, armor regen everywhere. I've even went and found pieces that allow me to have the weapon damage traded to armor core, and I've tested this with full blue armor, and it's not that great with full blue armor. Finding certain pieces you can trade off are fine, but most of them that have the blue armor, just keep them as they are. The Murakami knee pads, you can trade those to red. So basically we're a 4 blue, 3 red build. Now, we have 2-piece Golan, 1-piece Bellstone. So that is how we're going to get our 3% armor regen. And as you can see, we have our Murakami for that 3rd piece for the 1% armor regen. Now, on the build, as you can see, we have blue cores or blue attributes. Those extra pieces are going to give us that extra armor regen. Now, as for skills, it's honestly whatever you prefer to use. Truly, it really is. It's whatever you want to use on here. You can use shield, disrupt, so you can shut down dogs. I would use disrupt or the EMP jammer to shut off dogs so you can kill them. But honestly, it's player's choice. Now, this is how we get, the memento is how you get that extra armor regen. So these little 4925s, when you add those in, that's going to give you about 1.3 something blah blah blah, which actually would round up to, if you take this number right here and divide it by this, it rounds it to about 7.3 something, so it's almost 7.4. So 7.4% armor regen. Now, even if you were to max out the armor on this build, like I guess expertise it out, it's still going to be the same no matter what you do. Because some people want to think, well, maybe if I do this it'll increase. No, it's still going to be a 7.3, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, the math is still the same no matter what you do, no matter how much blue armor you put on, how much blue armor you take off. Now again, this is a fun build. This is not a really like great build. It's just a fun build. So there you go. Since the introduction of the Picaro holster, everybody wants a hybrid build. Well, here you go. Now we're just waiting on the closer chest piece to get upgraded back to the way it was, to the extra crit hit damage. But right now the Picaro holster allows you to get that extra damage, crit hit damage, skill haste, and if you put skill damage like I have here, you can get that out. Now you can trade it back to a Gruppo. You'll get a little bit more damage out of it. That's on you. But I'm using this because I haven't found one that I can put crit hit damage and so forth back on here. So again, Picaro holster also gives you that extra skill haste. So still best in slot. We're using the Seska for the extra crit chance that you need for your weapon. We have the Petrov gloves. Now these help out your gun. You want your gun to hit the hardest. So use the Petrov gloves. We have the Overlord knee pads. Now I do have one extra skill tier. So basically this is a 3 red, 3 blue, 3 yellow build. The Memento backpack will give your skill extra damage, as well as your tech support or technician will give you extra damage. So this is how we get our skill, which is going to be your drone, to aggro, keep the shots off of you, piss them off, and kill them, and get the most out. Now, the perfect spotter gives your drone 20% and your weapon 20%. So guess what we're going to be using for a skill or a thing on our weapon? That's right, InSync. InSync is back on this build. And it makes it a lot of fun. Now, is this a great build? No. This is a fun build. I'm just going to stress this a lot. This is a fun build. Can it solo heroic content? Yes. You see 247. Now that's with the spotter activated. So let's reset this, take this off. 206. 206. So we put the laser pointer back on. Let's put that back on. Now, this is where we're going to get the extra damage for our drone. Let's reset that real quick. We pulse it. We shoot. The drone shoots. In sync goes. It's pulsed. Yeah, that's 20% for your weapon, 20% for your drone. The in sync, which is 30% for your drone, 30% for your weapon. Yeah, it just, you get 50% basically doing that. And then if you max out the memento, that's an extra 30% for your drone and damage and your weapon. It just makes content so easy. I mean, we're talking just ads fall over on heroic. And this allows you to run and gun too. So, just a fun build, ladies and gentlemen. I want to bring y'all my hybrid build. So, enjoy this one. Now right here, I'm going to show you two different versions of a Liberty pistol build. Now, I love my pistol build. Always have, always will. Now on here, of course, the #1 weapon is your Liberty. Your backup weapons doesn't really matter. In case you want extra damage, you'd want Sadist. If you're using something else, you'd want Opportunistic. But the Liberty will help keep your shield alive by shooting a few chest shots and then hitting a headshot. And that's the main key. So that keeps our player alive. So since we also have ridgeways to keep our player alive and that to keep our shield alive, we want to give the damage. So Wicked is a guaranteed way to give out that damage. Now this is a PvP version of this build. Now, again, ridgeways is very simple. Once you bleed a target, you get regen. It gives you Wicked. So that way you're keeping your player. The Liberty pistol is keeping your skill alive, and then the ridgeway, by getting the Wicked proc out and shooting that headshot, will also allow it to keep more damage. Or shooting chest shots with the Liberty would give you more damage. So that's how we build it out. So we got crit chance, Grupo for the crit damage, DNH on here. And DNH mask is not better because you get the headshot, which forces you to only shoot that spot, versus having the crit chance and the crit damage allows you to hit those targets farther away than this range. As you can see, the range is 16 meters. So your most effective damage is within 16 meters. Anybody who gets close to you, you can basically 2-tap them by shooting them in the head with this 125, and they're on the floor just dead. 2 taps, they're gone. So their job is to stay away from that 16 meters. If they're closer to you than that 16 meters, you are going to just bust them. So in the PvP world, the faster you kill, the better. And those 2 shots, literally, it's not even less, it's probably less than like 0.7 seconds, and they're gone. Now, I'm going to demonstrate another version that I've had for a while. Now this one here, I finally got the backpack. So we have 1 Walker, we have 1 Grupo, 1 DNH, the Contractors and the Foxes, and then we have the Coyotes mask. Now this build, once it's maxed out with the Adrenaline Rush and your Intimidate, this will hit harder than the Wicked version, but at the same time, we lose a little bit of the crit chance because we're not using the Seska in here. So if you happen to find a Seska backpack, you could probably get more out of it. But even for 5 blues versus the 4 blues you see earlier, this one here still hits for about 200k more per bullet. And that's in the headshot. So is the, well actually I wouldn't say 2. I think it's about 400k on average to maybe 500k more per bullet. Now, that version I showed you with the Adrenaline Rush Intimidate, I would definitely take that to PvE, and then take this one here to PvP if you wanted to use it. So let me see if I can get that. So yeah, 2.9. I've seen a 3 before, 3.1. Let's see if we can get it. 2.9, 2.9. Maybe it's just 3. But anyway, yeah, those are the two versions you can run for a pistol build. Now, most people love a good one-shot build. I don't have enough of those pistols to just trade it all the way around, so I'm sorry. I've got this one right here, but the theory is still the same with the build, so I don't have the exotic Ravenous pistol, but if it was, it would be pretty much the exact same. The only difference is some people say crit damage and crit chance or whatever you want on here is good. If you're doing solo, I would go weapon handling. If you're not doing solo and you're in a group or something like that and you want a good one-shot build, you can definitely go crit chance where I have weapon handling. The weapon handling just makes this a lot easier to land those shots no matter what kind of pistol you have in here. So again, that's player's choice. Again, the crit damage will allow you to get more out of it later on because other people will be giving you crit chance. So that's the player's discretion. Me, I prefer weapon handling. So again, now we have headshot damage everywhere possible. We have the gift backpack. We have the chain killer right here, which will allow you to get the perfect headhunter. So it just takes a few extra headshots with whatever weapon you're going to use. Get those headshot kills, get that stacked, and then swapping to it. Now you can use the glass cannon like this, the weapon handling headshot damage. It won't be as much or as damaging versus the headhunter, but it's still fairly decent. If you really want to do that, like, was it 100 mil headshot kind of thing, you got to go headhunter. If you want to do, I think this one here maxes at 72 mil, go with the glass cannon. So again, that's all. Contractors, foxes, and then of course the Douglas or Dodge City Gunslinger holster. Now this will give your pistol, the one that you're using, 1,000% more damage as it stacks up and keeps stacking up. So the idea is you just don't use your pistol until you need to take that perfect one shot to kill something, and that's pretty much all it is. It's not that big, but because this one has always had weapon handling and headshot damage, I just built it around that, and it turns almost any pistol you have pretty good. But you have the Bulwark to help block some extra damage, and I do not have the Achilles pulse, so I can't really show you that on this character. But again, most of the time you would run an Achilles pulse, someone would overclock, get you all these different spots, and then of course, yeah, you just tap them with the pistol. So that's a one-shot build. Let me show you some damage numbers with this one that I do have. So as you can see, we're stacking up the damage. We got the vigilance proc. So as soon as your pistol, that bar down there, for anybody who doesn't know, once that bar fully maxes out, it's pretty much just, you know, you pop out your shield or you aim with your pistol and then boom, you shoot the headshot. Now I'm not going to do that right now because I still have to go get some headshot to get the headhunter procced, but that's pretty much the basis of it. It's very simple, very easy. So I got an M1A right here. We're just going to land a few headshots. You can use a sniper rifle or whatever. But once you get these headshots maxed out, see, we got our headhunter. Shoot, get another kill on a purple, red. There we go. We got it fully maxed out now. It just takes 2 kills. We can even put extra headshot damage on here just to verify and make sure that we get those kills. Let's reset it, purple. Give me the red. There we go. Okay, fully maxed out. And we just take our shot. We got 1 bullet in the round to show. Boom. And that's it. That's really all that build is. And again, I don't have the Achilles pulse, so I can show you all on this character to show you what it would do. But again, the theory is still the exact same. There's other builds out there like this, other videos, so go take a look if you need to for more reference. Now, system corruption. System corruption is mostly a PvP build. There are 2 ways to run this for the most effectiveness that you will ever see in game. Now, number one, it doesn't matter what specialist you have on, but the better specialist to have is the firewall. Mainly just because you get the health on kill, you've already got armor on kill, and it gives you a chance at that shield. Now, the Lady of Death is pretty much the main weapon to this build. Nothing else. I just have a mop as a backup for extra armor on kill, so when I'm playing against ads inside the dark zone, I can have armor on kill, keep my survivability up. You don't have to do this. You can even run an Emmeline's Guard, so you can keep that going. But your main weapon on this when you're PvPing is going to be your Lady of Death. Now, the grenades and all that will also allow you to put on, say, that extra or the new lefty shotgun, get more damage out if you wanted. That's player's choice. Now, all of mine has full blue armor. I was able to find all these pieces, which took me a long time to get to make it full blue armor. So I have one red core and full blue. So the damage numbers you're going to see can actually go up and up and up, depending on how you want to play. Like the mask, the gloves, and I think the holster are the reds. But still, either way. Now, the two backpacks you have to use, and this is the sad part, you have to use them to get the most bang for your buck out of this, is the Memento and the System Corruption backpack. Now, you can use Bloodsucker, but if you're not killing stuff fast enough, Bloodsucker doesn't work, but it can give you the max amount of damage for the blue armor. So, the two backpacks you want is either Memento or the System Corruption backpack. I hate to say that about this build, but if the devs were to fix that, that would be great. So, again, we have pulse resistance and disrupt resistance. So they can't shut off your skills as easily, or they can't shut you down, and you're also pulse resistant. So we want one pulse resistance level 10 mod, which you saw on my mask. That way we're 100%, we can avoid any kind of Heartbreaker. And mainly that's all this is to avoid spotter builds and the Heartbreaker builds. So let's show you some damages right here with a full blue. And again, I've got the Memento stacks, but as you can see, we don't have the blue armor. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to proc this later on. You can see we jumped up in damage. Now that's only 50%, so we're only getting about 10% weapon damage total extra. So we just run, we get this. Now I've also got the 30% for the Memento backpack. But again, the Memento backpack is actually really good because that way you can get some extra damage out, as well as you can pick up the blue tags on the ground. You can pop your armor kit when you need to and just keep the damage going. So it's a beautiful piece for this build. And if you're not going to run that, again, I'll show you the full damage off the other backpack, and we'll see what that kind of damage is. So now that we swap pieces, we've got the System Corruption backpack. Let me put the damage mod in there. And again, we're doing the Overlord knee pads. Now, I hate to say that this is like the best combination for most of these types of builds for some weird reason, because that way you get the multiplicatives out, and you also happen to get, you know, the armor regen and stuff. It's really sad to say that that's what it is, but if we pop our med kit, we go from 316 to 379. So again, we gain a little bit of damage, and as you saw, I got one red core for my foxes. Still, this right here at 379, it can go up if you take some blues away and put reds onto it, but since you're playing PvP, you actually want the blue armor. So there's a 379 again, as you saw. Now this status build is the PvP status build. I call it Dragon's Breath because once you get hit with a chem sticky, the players pretty much just fall over unless they have booster hive on or hazard protection. So we're using the technician to get the extra skill damage out in PvP, and because of all these yellows, you can put the capacitor on. But again, the double barrel shotgun like this with the damage to armor is beautiful. Another thing is get you a card 45 so you can hit that pistol shot, damage to armor, perpetuation, and so forth. If not, go get yourself a backup boomstick like this with perpetuation, and yeah, just kind of go to town, go find that one, because that way you can get the extra damage to armor out no matter what you use. The build is very simple. We have 3-piece Empress, 2-piece Wyvern, and 1-piece Golem. Now, again, If you want to, you can even take off this blue core like I have. You can take off the technician and put crossbow. So that way, if you status affect anybody, they're going to take that extra damage. You can even go with this right here. So, you know, the firewall, which I've seen in other videos and in mine, that doesn't actually give the duration. It may be bugged. But yeah, you can go with the two strongest, which would be the burn fire and the the burn sticky. So everywhere you have, and if you wanted to, you could even put on the vial mask. So what you would trade for the vial mask is most likely going to be that one piece of golem. That way, even if the fire or the status comes off, they still take tick damage by trading off that golem to putting on that one piece. Now you'll lose damage in the ticks for the actual burn, but the one ticks that they would take from the vial mask would still damage them. So that one's player's choice. On here, yeah, here are the max burns, as you can see, for the skills. Now, we're going for burn strength, not damage, because the damage would be the explosive part of this one. You want the burn strength on here as well. I forgot to mention that part in one of my videos. So let's set some things on fire. All right. And Hadouken. $675. So let's max out a capacitor and let's see how high we can take these burns. And Hadouken. 972. Now the fire chem one, let's try this one. Burn. Set that on fire. 627. Let's max out the capacitor. Boom, hit it. 672. Did I max out the capacitor? I don't know if I did. Yeah, we'll make sure it's maxed out. Actually, let's do this. Let's show perpetuation. Or, yeah. Let's clear. I'm just clearing out these. Sorry. Just trying to clear them out so we can get multiples in there. There we go. All right. Now we're going to set it with perpetuation. Come on. One headshot. There we go. Hadouken. 955. Nearly the same as having to shoot and max out a capacitor. Nearly the same. Not exactly the same, but nearly the same. And that's all it takes, ladies and gentlemen. One shotgun with perpetuation to almost equivalent or be the same equal as the capacitor. Think about that. 653. Yeah, that's pretty strong. And that's just these two. So here we got the 1v1 bot build, which everybody, after they get their ass handed to you by some builds, they always say, hey, come over here and 1v1 me. So here we go with the 1v1 bot build, because everybody thinks that this here is the best. There are two ways to really set this build up, and it's mainly just about the mask. Everybody wants to put on the FAMAS when honestly the other perfect Optimist is better. You only lose like 5 or 50 RPM, but you gain in total weapon damage. You only lose, I think, like 0.2 or 0.1 on your reload speed, but you get more damage out. So if you want to run this, that's fine. Grenadier is best to get your extra crit chance out, so you can crit more. Crit chances like this on here, and so forth. Your mask is going to be the two things that you want to choose, either Catharsis or Coyote's mask. The Coyotes will give you more damage right off the rip. Catharsis, if they happen to get through to you, you can actually max this out, get some more damage out. The Matador backpack will give you the most for your adrenaline rush, as well as the weapon damage, because it's a one-piece walker right there. So we would throw on a second piece of walker. That's why I have the chest piece on. That gives us the total crit chance and the damage to armor to the player. And we have the unbreakable. So while this build doesn't have a whole lot of damage like Wicked or Vigilance, we have extra damage in here by using the crit chance, crit damage. So then we have a piece of Fenris on for the main weapon you're going to be using, and one piece Grupo. Now, again, you see we have all these blue cores, and then we have the, forgot to mention, the Foxes. So all these blue cores, that just gives you the survivability. Now for your skills, EMP Sticky, Riot Foam to put the player in place, EMP Sticky to stagger them so they can't shoot you. You can Jammer Pulse or whatever else you want for that, that's fine. On here, we're just going to do, like for the Riot Foam, to keep them in place, duration, and so forth. So that way you can Riot Foam, dip around a corner, put a med pack on or something, but even though it only lasts 2.3 seconds, that's enough to get your med pack off if you need it. Other than that, that's pretty much the build. Here's the crit chance you're looking at, 51 and 156. So as for the damages for the 1v1 bot build, we got the Catharsis mask, we got it maxed out, and yeah, let's just go ahead and show you some damage. Again, you're probably going to max out around 379, give or take, with this, with the Catharsis. And that's with the Catharsis maxed out. Without it maxed out, we drop that. Yeah, about 327, I believe. 327. Yeah, just about 327. So if we trade this off and put the Coyotes mask on here, this will allow for the more crit hit damage. You get one red core, so you lose some survivability, but at the same time you also gain in damage. And this one here will hit close to about 400k. And that's also on the hill, so let's try to get this thing down. Let's see if we can actually just... Yeah, 400, that's on the health. Actually, let's just spray everything, get one bullet down. There we go, one bullet. What do we get? 372. 372 on the armor. Woo! The one bot build. 1v1 bot build. So this is going to be build number 1. This is the most important one. This is your ongoing directive. Now you want the firewall. The reason why is because your player is going to be the closest to everybody else. And when you do that, you're going to get your ridgeways to max out at the 48%. Now the grudge is pretty much a must on this build. The reason why is because, one, your teammates are going to be getting out that extra crit chance and the crit damage from this player alone. Now, the Carbine 7 with Sadis is the strongest version of all the ARs. Let me demonstrate right here. So we have what everybody else uses as a FAMAS. You can see we have the RPM and we have the reload speed, and that's about all that it beats. But if we come all the way down and we look at the damage numbers and the magazine size, they're both the same. We get accuracy and stability and the damage drop-off. Now, the Carbine 7 allows every player to reach out with these bleed bullets and destroy them. So this one also, if they fix this later on, we could even put the laser pointer on here and you can just get instant spotter for everybody this way. So again, the Carbine 7 is the must go to. Now Orbit, that's fine. You can even use the busy little bee on here, that's fine. On your ongoing directive, all crit damage. Put as much armor as you want or feel like you need. The Grupo Sombra is the next best thing. Put the Wicked on here. Crit chance, crit damage everywhere, crit damage mod. All like this. The Ridgeway's Pride, of course, crit damage, crit chance. Now, here you want a Jammer Pulse, because anything you status effect plus shutting off their skills will help this player. You can put a Decoy or a Bleed Hive. Any kind of bleed is good, but the Bleed Hive is pretty much best in this spot for this player. Now, this is what we're looking at, crit chance and crit damage on this. Now, you can trade off some if you want, that's fine. So let's show you some solo damage numbers, and then we're going to show you team-based damage numbers as well. So here we go. All right, we got our bleed bullets. What was that, 316? I'll pop the damage numbers up instead of calling it out. I'll just type them in from here on out. Kind of make it easier for y'all to see. Yeah, 315. Headshots, 416. And just one more time, yeah, 416. So yeah, then we'll show the team base here in a second. But again, that's this build, and you get your bleed bullets out this way with the Ridgeway's chest piece. Now, with all the other builds and everything else that we have, you see we still have that. We have switches. He's basically using the crossbow and the future healer. Waffle has got the sniper for the extra headshot damage. And Wrecked here has the Grenadier for the extra damage targets out of cover. So with all that total, we have 397. You see we just got that back. We get the Vindictive, 505. And then when we jump up for the headshots, 631. Also, I forgot, I had to put this to damage targets out of cover. So we reset everything back up. Crit chance, crit damage properly. So as you can see here, we'll save this, make sure that we got it properly set, and then we'll show you some more damage numbers on solo. Again, it just means we're going to get a little bit more, not a whole lot, but we're going to get a little bit more, because you technically don't need the damage to armor on any one of these. You just need damage targets out of cover, because it's going to help out. And then we're also going to show you the busy little bee with this build, because you can literally go in there, bleed targets with the pistol, and then also stack up that extra damage and swap, and then yeah, just beam players or NPCs down. So let's show that. Yeah, y'all just see those numbers. Look at that, 900, 934. Jesus. And then we get more later from teammates. Now here's the meta that no one wanted to believe. I was actually trying to give y'all ahead of time, but y'all didn't believe me. So here we go. Grenadier. Get the extra damage targets out of cover for your teammates. Now, the other part to this is also you can avoid more burns. So this player is going to be a little bit more status preventive. So Booster Hive on this player. Carbine 7, again, we already know why it's better. It gives you more damage farther out. The custom M8 70 MCS for a backup, and here you can put Busy Little Bee or the Orbit, player's choice. Or if you don't want to do this and you want to use a Nemesis because you're getting these other stuff, that's fine. But I'll also show you why the Busy Little Bee is pretty much beast mode on this build. But again, we already know that the Busy Little Bee is pretty dangerous. Coyote's Mask is to help give that extra crit hit damage for your teammates, or crit hit chance that they might need at times if your ongoing directive dies. Wicked, of course, on your backpack, and you can literally run this with 5 blues, as you can see here. And yeah, the 5 blues, you still feel like you're maybe a 1 or 2 blue glass cannon. Spotter Fenris, you don't have to have the Fenris. You could do the Walker, you could do the Gruppo like down here in the holster, trade the pieces out as you need to. Same thing, Petrov gloves, you don't need the crit chance. Overlord knee pads or the Fox's prayers, because again, you're going to be almost near max when the other player gives you the Vindictive from their Banshee. And yeah, you'll be at max crit chance, so no need to worry about the crit chance. Go for the multiplicatives. Again, if you want to drop some of these crit chances off and put like crit damage here or stability, so it becomes a laser beam, that's player's choice. If you drop it down, again, you just want to break the 40 mark, the 42 mark, and then you get the other stuff so you can get more damage out. Okay, just as simple as that. You want to break the 42 mark. That's it.
Again, Grupo, Foxes. On here, you can also use a secondary Jammer Pulse or Riot Foam, but you want the Booster Hive right here because he can avoid some of the status with the burn. So this will help this player out and other players nearby. So we'll do some solo damage numbers, and then we'll show you team damage, but I'm also going to show you the busy little bee aspect. So this player can literally go around, tag certain ads, just tag them, doesn't have to kill them, doesn't have to do anything. He can just tag as many as he wants. If you can get like 10 inside of a landmark, cool, just tag them. And then as soon as you swap away from your pistol, whatever weapon you have in your hand, it's going to do that extra damage. But you can't swap like there, you see? I swapped 2 times and it instantly went away, so you don't get that damage. But for right now, you saw it's 515. So again, you want to make sure whatever weapon you swap to, that's the one you use before you swap away. That's vital. So let's hit these again. And I'll do a busy little bee deal later on, but I'm just trying to show you all this stuff for PvP builds. So now that we got them all tagged, we swap to our Carbine 7. We get our spotter in that. It's all 1 mil, 1.03 mil. See, look at that, 1.2 on the headshot. But then these are the real numbers, 448. So again, yeah, that's, you can literally hit for 1 mil per shot just solo. And yeah, you saw the 448. So let's pulse. We got the Wicked. So let's show just regular numbers. 515. 537. So 537. That's what we're hitting for. 537. And that's with the bleed and all that kind of effect. So 537 is what we max out at. And then chest piece. I guess we can get some chest shots. Or yeah, let's get that, and then we'll shoot it one more time. Pulse. We got the bleed bullets. Yes. So 537. And that's with the Carbine 7. And again, we have 44, and we can get more crit chance and crit damage there. So I'll show you some team play. So this is that build with all the other people's aspects that they got. So we get the bleed bullets. We've got everything. Yeah, y'all see 9.3 right there. And the shot on the head almost hit 1 mil. And that was with health. You see we got it bled. 830. 830, ladies and gentlemen. So he's going to shoot it again. Chest shots. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty strong right there. Now, I've had this build before. This is the efficient healer build. So if you're not going to run like a healer, you can run this one. On this build particularly, you don't have to break the 42 mark because you're using a shotgun. If you happen to, that's going to be for your Carbine 7. Again, player's choice, but you have to have the crossbow on this player because he's the healer. Now, the Scorpio is going to give those players extra damage for their status builds, as well as for PvP. Because you're using the shotgun, you're also going to be able to give your teammates that extra 20% after you've landed, I think it's 8 shots. So this can really make some players that you think are a little too tanky, this can actually bring those players down rather than running a healer, because you get that extra weapon damage out there, someone actually doing damage. Again, Carbine 7, all the crit chances on here as much as possible. And with that being said, we break the 42 mark with 43%. So yeah, you can still do that, and every mod is a crit damage mod, as you can see. Bellstone chest piece is better than any other one you're going to come across. So go ahead and put this on, because that's going to keep you alive as well. The Catharsis mask is also to drop an extra heal since you're the healer, and it'll remove some of the status. But use the setup backpack. Now you can use the newer backpack to help give your teammates extra reload speed, but you can do this right here and give them the damage, the extra 15 on a target. So you're better off, honestly, just using this setup. Now, put the Petrov gloves on here, as you saw, because you don't need the crit chance. Go ahead and get the Foxes on there, and then put the Badger Tough ammo dump. It's better off putting this in this spot, since you got all the other named items everywhere else. Just go ahead and get this. It gives you 1 extra magazine. So, I mean, not that you're going to need it, but that 1 extra mag can really help out, especially with shotgun builds. So let's demonstrate some of the healing effects and some of the stuff we'll give to our teammates. So right here, as you can see, we met up, and boom, we didn't waste a kit. Now, the other times you use efficient chest pieces, you might lose a kit, versus this one, you're pretty much guaranteed never to waste a kit.
Immediate medical
So now we also
needed.
got the Catharsis piece, so if we drop that cloud, we can heal nearby teammates and help them out. So we've got multiple ways to heal our teammates by doing it this way. Now you see we almost put ourselves all the way up to max, so we could still even get off a med pack and still heal up. So let's also increase this completely to show the full damage numbers out of this build. And we'll get the Catharsis damage and the setup backpack damage. And I think that should be close enough. Now, one more. Okay, yeah, that should be enough. So that's probably about 30 right there. So that's where we're going to get our damage from, is our Catharsis and the backpack. Now this one here, you can put a decoy on and an extra booster, since you're the healer, to kind of keep those pesky little status bots away. And pretty much a 3-shot. This is solo 3-shot, as y'all can see, or solo 4-shot. So with all those extra damages, you can almost 2-tap a player. Like literally with all those extra damages, nearly 2-tap a player. And you see, we got ammo, so we'll take a look at this with this with the Badger Tough holster. I'll show you that you can get those extra ammo, and you see we got 1053 for the carbine. We had like 180 something there. So yeah, we get all those extra pieces for it. Now the carbine 7, it's just a good backup. You can actually put a sniper rifle on this, like put a white death, and you're just as good. Again, booster hive to help your teammates out because you're the healer. So let's show you some damage numbers with this build in team play. So again, we just traded off everything for these guys. We have this build on, so we're trading off all those damages. So watch this. You give them the damage. We're not worried about our damage, we're worried about helping our teammates. So this right here is a 1.5 armor guy. And you see he's just gone, just split. So let's bring this as high as we can. We'll go named. Alright, shoot. Okay, so you saw how fast it took, about 2 seconds to take that player. That would be a full unbreakable adrenaline rush player. Just gone, 2 seconds. And the more you shoot, the faster they just go. So watch this. I'm going to stack it with full damage, the extra 20%, and I'm going to have them shoot. Just gone. That quick. Yeah, that's pretty fast. So with this build right here, it's always a healer. I have multiple videos on this in the past. It hasn't really changed, but because we're getting this extra damage, you need to make sure you have the capacitor, because even the healer now can actually kill. Seriously, the healer can actually kill with a capacitor. So with this, you can run it like this. I'm not going to say you can't, but you can run it with this, but you want the RNK, not the Alps, because of the cycle effect. It actually recycles from even far away to heal the healer, to keep the safeguard going. If you don't run the BTSU gloves, definitely run it like this. You'll give your teammates an extra 5% weapon damage, but they also will not lose 15 at times because you healed them up. So this is honestly a better way to go with empathetic resolve. So get your Alps right there, get the future, all repair skills everywhere, and again, you lose 15 at times to gain 15 by healing, so they will always have around 30 or 15% all the time, no matter what happens. So it's just, as you can see by the numbers, if you want to stop and take a look, I won't post these up because they're right here, but yeah, there's the numbers for the heals. These are maxed out heals. And you see we got maxed out heal on each one of these. So this is the highest healing you're going to see in game when the cycle effect from the RNK, which is, I don't know if it's a glitch or a bug or if it's supposed to do that, but I hope the devs don't fix that. Please don't fix that. It's great, but you also want a weapon with reformation. So get you a military AKM because it just hits really hard, and those extra bleed bullets you're going to get, yeah, that is just going to make it so much easier for you to get a kill at the same time. So definitely get the military AK-47M, or yeah, anyway, you know what I'm talking about. And yeah, just set it up this way. It's really just the strongest healer you're ever going to see in game. So right here, if I damage myself, I lose that 15, but then when I heal myself, I get 15, and I get the 15 back at the same time. Now, I've dubbed this build the Commander build. The reason why is because with this, you're giving out extra headshot damage. You're basically telling all the players where the enemies are going to be coming from. You're giving out that extra spotter bonus. But you don't have to run this. The commander can choose what he wants to run. He can run minigunner, or he can run a second grenadier to try to get that extra damage targets out of cover. For the other players that didn't have it, you can put on the sniper to get the headshot damage, or just this here for the extra ammo. Honestly, the sniper is the better choice to give the extra damage out. Plus, it gives him the secondary effect of another type of pulse. So, the Gilligard mask is vital for this guy. He's basically going to be calling out where people are coming from. He's going to be pulsing, helping out the team, showing them where to go. So that's why this is the commander build. He tells them where the people are coming from. Now, you want the crit damage and you want the crit damage. Now, you don't have to roll the weapon damage off like I did on this mask, but you can if you want to. The other part to this is, yes, we're still using the walker for the extra wicked damage because we're going to get those bleed bullets. Now, as you can see, we have a secondary walker. The reason for this is because this one does need the crit chance. If we throw the contractors on here, in comparison, we lose that 6% crit chance, but we also lose by using the walker only 3% crit or damage to armor. But we have to break that 42 mark. So that's why the second piece of walker is vital on this build. Okay, as y'all can see, we broke the 42 mark with that. Without those gloves, we won't do that. Now, this one here is also a tardigrade. He's helping everybody out, make sure that they stay alive. Another reason why I call it the commander build. So the tardigrade is going to give your teammates also the unbreakable proc. So this player needs to be as much armor as possible. That's what I'm saying on that Gilligard mask. You can actually turn it into or leave it as a blue if you want to. If not, and you happen to get that, you can trade it off and just go 5 blues, 1 red. There's a Grupo holster. Again, Fox's knee pads for the multiplicative. Now here's where it's important. 2 pulses. Now we use 1 pulse, so if we get jammered, we have a secondary pulse to actually call it out. So let me demonstrate. So as you can see here, we have our targets. Now this is the important part. We pulsed, right? Okay, so say someone jammers this pulse off. Well, we can send this drone out there. Now this one has a range of 71 meters, and I've got it to level 10. So basically, it can reach out there and keep everything pulsed, even if I'm jammered and the other pulse is shut off. That's the way we can keep that spotter for that one player going. Now, I'm going to demonstrate right here. So if I jammer, see it doesn't reach it all the way out there? See that white line? It stopped right about there. But the drone is still up in the air. So I can keep players pulse to keep that one player having his damage. That's why you have the 2 pulses on, as well as you have the sniper to give the extra headshot damage. So the sniper benefits the team in 2 different ways. As you can see, we're going to jammer again. We brought it even closer. It doesn't reach out. The jammer reaches out probably, I'd say about, I don't know, I'd say what, 15, maybe 17 meters. And that thing's out there just past the 20 mark. So yeah, if you have this one on, it can reach out for 71 meters, but the jammer pulse wouldn't be able to reach to it. So if it reaches the drone and it doesn't reach your pulse on your player, guess what? You still keep them pulsed either way, just like that. So say the drone is gone, you can still pulse this way because they use the jammer on the drone. So again, it's about keeping that pulse going, telling where everybody's at. Now let's get the Wicked proc, because we can also just throw those grenades because they do a status effect. So there you go. Blind them. Boom, we got Wicked. So again, there's the damage numbers with the blind, because that's an extra piece. And yeah, I mean, no matter what you do, you're still set. So let's show some team numbers. So you see Rex got the bleed and everything else. So he's going to get our bleed bullets back. There we go, we got a full set. Alright, now the commander is going to be the farther one back. So Waffle's going to take the front spot right here in front of me. Switch has got the healer on, Rex still got the ongoing, and I've got the extra headshot damage. So here we go. We got the bleed, 620. So that's what we're seeing right there, 620. You see, we're just blasting this target. I mean, that's literally a 1.5 no unbreakable build right there, ladies and gentlemen. And we're still hitting the 620 mark. Oh, look at that, 805, 928. That's because I got a little bit closer. $786. And that's a commander. Now this one is not one that's going to synergize with the group, but it is a fun build to use. It is a bonk build. And I just want to go over this one real quick because this one here is pretty nasty. Now we have the Grenadier for the extra protection from the burn, but you don't have to do that. You can do the firewall, so if you take damage you can med kit up and then survive basically anything. It's really a player's choice on the two that you're going to use this with, Grenadier or firewall, but your main thing that you're looking for is one piece, y'all, for these Lady of Death. The reason why is because just that extra hazard protection. Now this allows you to get up close and personal because of that and melee players. So you want to find one of these y'all gear that look like this. Armor, hazard protection, armor regen. If you can find that, you can put in whatever mods you want. I suggest one burn, one ensnare resistance, and one bleed resistance. Now, we have Adrenaline Rush to keep ourselves alive. And because we can't use the two-piece Gilligard or Golan anymore, we'll use a one-piece Gilligard. And you can go with either Adrenaline Rush Intimidate, or you can go with Spotter, or you can go Unbreakable. If you do the Spotter, you can go and use one of these... where's that one chest piece? I'm trying to think. Because if you do use Spotter, your teammates will be spotting for you like the Commander build. And that's going to give you that 20%. So you can use the perfect spotter, but because they're bugged right now, and they kind of look like this crap what the devs have done to us, I wouldn't suggest running it just yet until they patch this. But if they do, you can put this one on to give yourself that extra damage, like this right here. See, the perfect spotter. So you can get 20% weapon damage just by one of your teammates spotting stuff for you. And then you get the total armor just the same as the Gilligard, but you get the perfect spotter. So it's player's choice: Unbreakable, Adrenaline Rush, or Spotter on this. Then the claws out for the extra melee damage. And yeah, you want the one with hazard protection. Roll it to core blue. Murakami knee pads for the extra armor regen, just like the Bellstone, and hazard protection there as well. And then the new Bloody Knuckles is beautiful. When you put this on, you can basically slap get weapon damage. So this is going to allow you with those other players, if they're bleeding the targets and giving you those bleed bullets, you slap a player, you get 25% damage. You get the melee damage at the same time. It just turns it pretty strong. And it doesn't really worry about your two backup weapons, but put on the booster hive so you can get the extra melee. As you can see, hazard protection and melee damage. This is going to increase your melee damage even more. I believe it increases it about 140k melee. So you can reach like 600 if you have Adrenaline Rush maxed out. So I think it's like 650 K in melee damage. So basically it would take you like 3 taps on an easy weak player and boom, they're dead. So yeah, that's pretty much the bonk build right there. And again, we want the extra hazard protections in those mod slots so we can reach that 80 mark. A shield, definitely a shield of some sort. So if you use a firewall, use a striker and just walk up and smack people, because that striker shield will also give you more damage too, because they're right in front of you. So yeah, just keep smacking people. Bonk build.